Cuba. It is an island that America has always had an interest in. From the early 20th century, America had been influencing the island, affecting the island, and having basically economic control of the island. Until, Castro arrived and everything began to change from there. And even now, we still have a strained relationship with Cuba at best. But we've always had an interest. How far does this interest go? Farther than you might think, going all the way back to the near foundation of the United States. But there was a time in the 1850s when that interest would peak, long before we got into a war with the Spanish over Cuba. And that time was when the Ostend Manifesto was written, which was a document basically made to show the world of America's dreams to conquer Cuba and take it from the Spanish if they were not given it. The world condemned this, and many people in the North were angry over this, for reasons I shall soon explain. But what if the Ostend Manifesto was followed through? That is the question we are asking today in this alternate history. But first, some historical context. America has always had an interest in Cuba since its near foundation. Even presidents such as Thomas Jefferson and John Quincy Adams expressed great interest in the island, but out of respect for the Spanish Empire, made no policy to annex it. Also, they believed that it would one day become a part of America. So, there was no need to. Southern Democrats, however, had a particular interest in Cuba, seeing it as a potential slave state due to the existence of slavery in Cuba based on sugar. And as more Western states were admitted as free states, so grew the desire to annex Cuba. The manifesto was written and then published 4 months after it was written. And the fallout was immense. Northerners, already angry after the Compromise of 1850 and being forced to help send any fugitive slaves back to the South, cried against this, and the international outcry was condemnation against the United States, causing great damage to the Pierce administration. And it would also serve as a rallying cry to the Republican Party, which grew in power because of this. So the question we must ask in this alternate history is, what happened if there was no international condemnation? Personally, I believe that the cry from many Northerners could be handled. Well, in this timeline, we are going to find out. There could be a war against Spain for the island because I highly doubt they are going to be willing to, give it up for any amount of money, which I believe Spain will lose. They can't particularly win a war for an island that is farther away from them than the island is to the United States. I believe they would lose after a few years at war. The question is, what would America do with the island? The plan is to make it into a slave state, so what exactly would happen? What I believe would happen that it would become a slave state. And the Republican Party, which is the main threat to the Democratic Party, would rise in power because of this. Northerners were already angry over the decision to basically force northern states to help send fugitive slaves to the South if they were caught. So this would only grow the Republican Party. But a bigger issue is what would happen in the Civil War. It could happen a few years earlier, which I doubt. It really depends on if a Republican president is elected. But for the sake of convenience, we're gonna say that the Civil War still happens at 1961. So, in this timeline, I speculate that the Civil War could take as long as it did in this timeline, or last even longer, due to the fact that they would also have to block off the island from the rest of the Confederacy, and, well, they might have to also invade the island, which is not particularly an easy thing to do. So, the Civil War could last a few years longer, possibly until 1867. So, that is what I speculate what would happen. Slavery would be abolished, and everything would go somewhat similar to our own timeline. Lincoln may or may not even be assassinated in this timeline. So the changes to this timeline really depends on the order of events. It's hard to speculate on. However, that doesn't mean you guys can't speculate it in the comment section, which I would like to hear from you guys. What would happen in this alternate history? Or what would you think would happen in this alternate history? Debate it in the comments. And also, please like and subscribe. And also click the notification icon. It helps the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching.